afternoon, viewers, and welcome to a second episode of Listen. Listen, as you know, is the show which discusses the challenges and insecurities of adolescents, as well as the challenges of parenting an adolescent. We are looking at life through the eyes of an adolescent. Coming to you from TV Africa, we are also on DSTV channel 362 and GoTV channel 175. We're streaming live also on YouTube on ALY Network, television network. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more information. Welcome back to the studio. Last week, we started talking about who an adolescent is, biologically, psychologically, and social. Today, today is a part 2 of what we started last week, but with a twist. Today, we don't only have a resource person, but we also have the adolescent and a parent. So we're going to be discussing the same topic, but from a different perspective. Listen has been made possible by our proud supporters, Lesh Fortune Limited, Chrisage, they say they will floor you, Purple Rose Shoes, and Danny Tailoring. To introduce my guest today, I have in the studio with me Dr. Topa from last week, Mrs. Sarah Opong. Sarah is a parent with 2 adolescents, a boy and a girl. We have Kali, who's also an adolescent, Faithfulness, an adolescent, and Akosia Newman. Welcome to the studio, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Last week, we started talking about the biological changes, psychological changes, and social changes that the adolescents go through. And today, from the parent's perspective, we want to know how much information as a parent you have that you are passing on to your adolescent children. Sarah.
Okay, so what I'll say is that when it came to, I realized that the kids had grown, and then I had a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old. You would have to fish for information from various sources to be able to teach them and bring them up the way you want them to be. Because sometimes the challenge you might have as a parent is the fact that you might not have had anybody taking you through that process. So you would have to look for wherever the source of information is. Either you speak to parents who, your peers who might have had older adolescents who have gone down that particular rail, or you also would have to look for, these days information is everywhere, so you would want to look for some bit of information on what you need to take them through before you would be able to, before they will be able to, they can live as adolescents. Because I realize that sometimes when parents do not take that lead, the schools and some of the environment, some other institutions help these kids. And imagine a young lady and then having a teacher taking her through things like menstruation. Yes. So as a parent, I believe that if you do not know where to go, you would have to just be able to fish for some information, either online or look for organizations like SMILE, and then be able to get some information and be able to take these kids through. One thing I also realize is that some parents too are very big, are shy. And then because they never had that, they also do not know how to go about it. And as a parent, I had to break off that as well, to be able to speak to them boldly about what to expect than for them to
Did
go.
you
Yes.
get that talk?
I didn't have that.
You didn't?
I didn't remember.
So having 2 adolescents, you have a boy and a girl. Yes. Not having had the information yourself, it means you must have learned from friends.
Learn from friends and older, maybe parents who have taken that road before.
Okay.
So they have older adolescents, or even people who have more like counselors, or they are parenting consultants and all that.
So you took the option of hearing from other parents how they've done the talk.
How they've done the
and
talk.
then also talking to counselors.
Yes.
Okay. But so for you, did you do for your son and your daughter, or you did for just the daughter?
Okay, so I tackled the girl first, because she, I believe, currently is 9, but the signs have started.
Yes.
So I think I remember last week one of the discussions was that it starts 10 on paper, but you realize that sometimes it comes
Starts
down to,
earlier,
so
yeah.
9-year-old, she started developing the breast. So you realize that quickly you have to take the step to be able to bridge that gap. Otherwise, if you leave her to go, then, so I started off with the girl first and then moved on to the guy, and then that's the young
So for
girl.
the boy, I mean, being a female,
Yeah.
it's easier to do with the girls.
Yeah.
But for the boy, what information do you think you had to be able to talk a male child through puberty?
Okay, so as I mentioned, there are so many resources one can rely on. And then one other thing you can do is to get, if you're married, you need to get the support of your husband.
Okay.
So both partners can take them through. But as a single parent you do not have that, and then you probably would want to. So there are so many things that, resources, books, and then other counselors, like I mentioned. So in my case, for instance, I had to read and be able to know what to talk about, because sometimes the challenge is, what do I even start from? What do I talk about? Where exactly is, what, apart from the changes, there are some other things that you will need to read and be able to know.
To
And also
understand.
another thing you can also do is sometimes maybe get videos that probably also portray such changes. And then if you think you might not be able to speak well, then you can get a child to watch with you and then discuss
You
with the child.
interact with the
Yes.
child. Marvin, did you get the adolescent talk from your parents?
I think I only got it from my mom.
From your mom?
Yes.
So your mom took you through the changes that's going to happen, the
Not in
biology?
detail.
Not in detail. So didn't you at one point think, why is my mother doing this and not my father?
Yeah, so practically I felt my dad didn't have that time.
So it was a matter of him not having the
Having the
time.
time.
Okay.
But then it was my mom, because we were closer to my
You were
mom.
closer to your mom.
Yes, but then she didn't give us full detailed, because, she's also a busy person. But the little time she has, that's when she uses it to have
So she
little-
didn't give you full details because you think she was busy, or
Yes.
she did not have all the information.
Well, I would say she's an educated person, so she might have all the information. But then getting that time to sit and give you full details of an adolescent, she didn't.
Again, she didn't give you full details. One, you were thinking she was busy.
Yes.
She was educated, so she must have had all the information.
Yes.
But was she the right person to give you the full details?
Practically, it would have been my dad, because I'm a boy. And my dad has gone through that stage. So practically, it would be my dad who would give me full detail of an adolescent as a boy.
Okay.
Yes.
But he was busy.
But he was busy.
Dr. Topa, do you think that the fathers have enough information to even carry out the education? Everybody assumes they are fathers, they've been boys before, they've gone through the process. But are we sure they know they have the right information?
Right. Thank you very much. So I mentioned last week, part of our discussion, that every adult has been an adolescent before. So we've been through that stage. We've experienced the struggles and the difficulties that they've all gone through. So every adult have their own experiences. However, when it comes to the right information, I strongly believe not everyone would have it.
Okay.
And as we rightly said, some may not have consciously thought about that stage. Yes, they went through the stage, but they've not gone back to sit down and think about it, that I went through this stage. These were the challenges that I had. These were the options that I took. Possibly they were wrong, and there are better options, and these are the options that I could have done. If one goes back and reflects, then one can be able to get the right information and be able to give it to their child. So yes, though adults may have gone through, they may not have the right information to give to the child. That's why it has to be a conscious process that the parent must decide that they are going to go through this and they are going to do it. Of course, we all know, just as Marvin said, he felt that dad was busy. And I think for most of us and most growing children, it's the same scenario. The fathers always seem to be busy. But I don't think that should be an excuse.
Yes.
They still need to make the time to have that bond with their children so that they can be able to connect. Without that, then we are bound to have problems.
So you know how we have the antenatal clinic?
Right.
From your medical perspective and considering the kind of information that adolescents must have for the biological phase, wouldn't it be appropriate that we run such clinics for parents to attend? Even if it's not a clinic, it's like a class or something. It's a must. Every parent must attend, because if they themselves, even though they've gone through the process, do not have all the information, then what are we passing on to the children?
Yes, I agree with you. Parenting actually is not automatic. We tend to assume that parenting is something automatic, that once we get to the age, we get married, we have a child, automatically all the details will come to us. But parenting actually is something that we have to learn. We have to make that conscious effort to know what to do at every stage of it. Every stage of my child, what information am I supposed to give? How am I supposed to relate to them? Because that's very important. So parenting just doesn't, we don't need to even limit it to when they are adolescents, right? From when they are little babies,
Before they are
toddlers,
conceived.
exactly. Before they go through all the stages. So it's a conscious act we all need to do. Unfortunately, we've relegated parenting into the background, and we think it can happen naturally as we go along. But we need to learn. So having these discussions, having programs, having clinics, having opportunities whereby parents would deliberately learn how to manage their children and then help them, it's very important. And I must say that I'll be very glad if we really had something like that. But whether we have it formally or not, each parent must appreciate that parenting doesn't just happen automatically. So we have to learn about it, get information from all the good sources, as Sarah mentioned, and then we lead our children in that direction.
You know, we actually have a program like that. We run a workshop for parents. I mean, you advertise it, they call and book and register, and on the day, they don't show up. Suddenly on the day, they have a funeral or something else has come up. So again, you're making the children feel less important if you can't attend it. I remember at that program, the registration desk were adolescents. And we had asked the parents to come with a pair of shoes. So we were testing how well they listen, you know. And we asked that you come to the event with a pair of shoes of your child. And if you get there without it, then you were not allowed to enter. And the adolescents were very strict. I think they didn't let about 4 or 5 parents enter because they didn't come with that. So even when we have it, they don't show up. How do we get the schools, I mean, if we're going to, collaborate with the medical industry and set a system up where maybe some doctors come into the schools and educate the children, because the problem is that the parents are not doing it. The parents are not doing that. Before I come to you, let me come to Akusia. At what age did you get the talk about puberty?
Oh, actually, I didn't get that with my mom. Like, my mom never spoke with me.
At all?
Then, she never did.
So how did you find out about it?
Oh, actually, I remember I had my first menses when I was 11 years. And I didn't actually know anything about menses. So I just got home. It was like, blood was just coming out. I was like, what is this? Like, do I have a cut over there or what? So I just placed a tissue in my pants, like, slept. So the next day, I woke up and my blood was, the bed was like...
So you didn't even tell your mom?
I didn't tell my mom because
Why?
I don't have that kind of
relationship.
There. We don't communicate. Like, she leaves the house around 4, comes back like maybe 7, I'm asleep. I don't talk to her. And I didn't actually like talking to her because she's that kind of person when you're like, Mommy, please, my friend. What friend? Why did you bring a friend home? Like, she will shout at you. So, like, I didn't like communicating with my mom, and I'm an introvert. Yeah, I like being alone. So I didn't tell her. So in the morning, she was like, why didn't I tell her? I didn't say anything. So she bought a pad for me. She didn't even teach me how to use it. I just read, and I started using the thing. So when I went to school, I asked my friends about it, and they told me about it.
Wow.
How to check, like, monthly, everything.
So even after the first sight of blood, you went home, slept, and didn't even go to your mom to ask her a question?
She didn't even tell me anything. She didn't even sit me down to even ask me or tell
She
me anything.
bought you the sanitary pad.
Yeah, she just bought it for me.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you read the instructions. So
Yes.
what if the pad didn't have instructions?
Oh. It's hard.
Wow. Have you had friends also come to you and say, this is happening to me? What
Oh
is it?
yes, a lot. Sometimes I go to my friends. My friends are those type that like they always hide things, like they keep things to themselves. And I'm that type of person. So when I see it, I move to them and I'm like, "What is wrong with you? Oh, tell me." Then the person will tell me. Like they can't tell their parents because they know they have street parents. Like their parents are crazy. Yeah. So they're just
Crazy. Parents are crazy. I don't know about that. Let me speak to have a word with Kali. When was your first experience of your menses? Did you get that talk as well?
Okay, I did, but not really. My sisters helped me out.
Your sisters,
Yes.
but not your mom.
Yeah, because she's a pastor and she's a little busy with the ministries and all that.
You know, you keep hearing parents are busy, parents are busy. We're busy making money and losing the children, because these are the moments where I think that we get that bond, we bridge every communication gap. But if we're busy, what exactly are we busy doing? Parents, I'm coming to you in a minute. Dr. Topa, I think from now on, you're not a doctor, you're a parent. Yes, dear.
Okay, so we spoke about stuff like that, but not too much. So I think I've been seeing my sister. We have 5 girls. Okay,
Wow.
so I've been watching my sister. So the first time I had my period, I was a little scared. I was like, what is this? But my sister was like, okay, it's a monthly something. And she started teaching me about it and showing me how to use the pad and all that. So after that, I kept myself from people because I felt some way. You understand? It's my first time having that. And my sister was like, I shouldn't be scared. It's a normal thing everyone goes through. So after that, I think my mom spoke to me a little.
What did your mom speak to you about? About just the cycle or everything that goes with the stage you are entering?
Okay, she was like, I'm now a lady or a woman. So certain things I should distance myself from this thing. Don't go too close with boys. Don't do this. Don't do that. You see?
Wow.
So I was like, oh. And all my friends are guys. I'm not really the gay friend type. So wow. So I'm having this. I'm not going to have friends with guys. So I have to. It was all new to me, and I didn't really know how to do it.
Dr. Topa, you had both of them.
Yes.
They didn't know anything about it.
Right.
I mean, Akosia's case is a bit, on the extreme. She didn't know anything about it. She saw it for the first time. She was a bit confused, did some first aid, and went to bed. Ideally, in any girl who is in a situation like that, what should be the first point if she does not have the opportunity of communicating with a parent or an adult?
Well, so sadly, I think this narration just captures the bigger picture of what we see out there, and that should really open our eyes to the big problem we have at hand. So you can imagine a young girl not having that conversation, starting her menses and then doing her own thing. And even when it gets to the attention of the mother, you see she really didn't get the information she had. So that's just what happens out there. And that is why we really need to see this as a big issue so that we will all be interested to help in our own small ways so that we can cause a change. The first point, of course, still has to be the parent.
It has to be the parent.
Because the boy, the girl is definitely at home with the parent. And even if it's not the biological parent, at least whoever is responsible for the person at that point, that has to be the first point of call. Because the trust must be there from home. We cannot leave that trust to the teacher. We cannot leave it to the doctor. We cannot leave it to the nurse. Yes, they all have a role to play, but that is only coming to complement what the parents have started at home.
Yeah.
So the first point of call must still be the mother, must still be the father. Whoever is taking care of the adolescent, that is where it has to begin from. So either that preparatory stage has been done already, or when it happens, the adolescent should be able to go back to his or her parent and then have that discussion. You see, the point and what we need to understand, and I think we discussed that a little bit last time, that the adolescent, it's in a very tricky period. It's transitioning from childhood into adulthood, but they are not adults yet, and they've moved away from being children. So they are really in this excuse me to say, lost period where they are trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
And clearly, and I mentioned this last week, that it's been shown clearly that what we all need, and even for adolescents, that need is even greater, is that social connection.
Yes.
The adolescents really need that social connection. It's something they yearn for.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of the stage they find themselves, it's like the parents draw away from them, and so they are lost. So they can't have that social connection. And clearly, we've seen that
Yeah.
being explained to
Yeah.
us here, either by virtue of work or parents not understanding their children and all that. So instead of rather having that social connection, that connection is rather broken.
Yes.
Most parents would even be quite close to their children when they are young. And then when they rather get to the adolescent
Yeah.
stage, and then it's like they withdraw, which is completely wrong. And so the challenges they are having, the struggles they are having, they don't have anyone to discuss with. And then there is a problem. All adolescents need mentors, and the mentors too must begin with the parents.
Yes.
They may not have all that they want to look up to in their parents, but definitely it should begin with the parents. Definitely there will be some positives, that some aspects of the mom's life, some aspects of the dad's life that they will look up to, that they will draw inspiration from.
Right.
And then they need to have the other mentors, and that can come from the spiritual mentors and profession-wise and all that. But clearly, it has to begin
It
from home.
has
As
to
you say,
begin from
charity
home.
begins at home. So it has
Charity
to begin
begins at
from
home.
home. Yes.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
nkurɔfoɔ agu ghanafoɔ bebree ɛwɔ ghana nsasesɛm ne nkrataa no yɛka plan ankasa sɔveafoɔ na ɛyɛ plan
nya kwanti sɔveya deɛ ɔbɛyɛ ne first ne sɛ ɔbɛma wafrɛ sɔveya
tumi a yɛde bubu ade a ɛnsi baabi a ɛwosɛsi no ɛnni plan na ne nsɛm ɛyɛ assembly
wokɔ na sɛ nana anaasɛ asase yi a no sɛ ɔwɔ ne sɔveya woa nso fa wo sɔveya
matɔ asase 1999 na sɔvea ɛntwerɛ no 1999 ma me a ɛyɛ criminal
purely criminal
fans asensɛm ho ne nneɛma a ɛkɔ so ɛwɔ sɛ nananom tumi sɔre
mabubu adan sɛn ɛwɔ lɔre kwan mu wɔ ghana
me starte adwuma yi mabu bi pɛn
mapɛ m'agyapadeɛ me ɛna mewɔ sukuu it can never be a family problem
na obi sɛ yɛ ɔpanyin ɛna matɔm asase ato hɔ ɛna sei na wotɔ asase no to wotɔ to hɔ sɛ wode bɛyɛ deɛ
asase ɛho adwuma no ɛyɛ adwuma a ɛɛden paa
dwumadie yi asɔbeafoɔ ba so da biaa na wokuada nso ɔmo wɔ so
Welcome back to the studio. If you've just joined us, you're watching Listen. Listen is a show which discusses the challenges and insecurities of adolescents, as well as parenting, the challenges of parenting an adolescent. We're looking at life through the eyes of an adolescent. Listen is proudly supported by Lesh Fortune Limited, Chrisage, Purple Rose Shoes, Danny's Tailoring, and Nags Wardrobe. My name, again, is Natalie Techiapia, your host. Dr. Topa, just before we went off, you were talking about the importance of the parent being the first point of call. Now, for the parent, is there any situation where when the child is going through that adolescent phase, are they going through any psychological state of mind? Is it something that they're struggling to deal with, or they're just in denial?
Okay, yes, I would say that the parents also go through some challenges, because clearly you've had a child who has been growing up over the years, probably very quiet, very submissive in your point of view, and then suddenly that child gets to a point where now they are being assertive, they raising a few questions. They coming up with their own options, telling you a few things they want to do. It's quite unnerving and troubling for a lot of parents. Parents. Some of them, the thought of just even knowing that their child is going to get to that stage alone becomes problematic for them.
Okay.
However, they need to move beyond that stage to know that they equally went through that. Of course, for some of them, their own experiences, and especially the negative experiences that some of them may have had, could also be troubling them at that stage. So some of them that went through bad times, probably realizing how difficult it was for them, tend to associate and project some of those fears that they had onto their children. And then it helps them, and that results in some of them withdrawing. But then what I think parents need to know is that the best way to do is rather to confront the issue. It's very easy for most people to think that when they don't talk about it, when they don't confront it, then it is problem solved.
Confront the issue.
Yes.
Please hold that thought.
Right.
Let me announce my WhatsApp number. As you know, it's live and interactive. The WhatsApp number is 020-723-3302. The number again is 020-723-3302. You can send your messages and we'll read it and your questions. When you say confront, now, let me say Marvin, for example. Marvin didn't get the talk from her father, got it from his mother. But he definitely knew that this should have been done by my father. Okay. Father is busy. Does he get the opportunity to confront and say, Daddy, I think I need this information and you must give it to me? Does it work like that? Or does the father come to the realization that, hey, my son is not the 2-year-old boy where I would blink my eye and it means Instagram, you know, stamp my feet and it means, Facebook, you know, that kind of a communication, but he's gone past that age. So is the father also able to say, look, I have to sit my son down and talk to him? So can he confront? We don't know.
Yes, so it's a shared responsibility. The parent has the primary responsibility of guiding his or her child. So it's first of all the father who has to make that conscious effort that I want to train my child in the right way. So it's the father's responsibility to engage the problem at hand, to appreciate that my little girl or my little boy is transitioning into an adolescent. And so I need to have time for him or her. I need to address this issue. I need to discuss the challenges of that period with my little girl or my little boy. So that is from the parent side. On the other side, clearly the adolescent also has the struggles, the difficulties, the challenges. So the adolescent also has to make the effort that, yes, I'm confused. I have a lot of issues I'm dealing with. I need some answers. My father or my mother is not giving me that answer. What do? I need to go to them and create the opportunity for us to have that talk. So ideally, it's the father who should take that responsibility.
Okay.
Ideally.
Yes.
But then the adolescent who has struggles, who has questions on their mind, then again, I believe we should be able to have the environment whereby the child can be able to approach the parents and discuss the environment, to discuss issues with them. So it lies on the parents to create that environment. But if the parents fail to do that, and you, the adolescent, you have a struggle, you need someone to talk to, you should at least try beginning with your parents. Then again, your parents definitely will have your best interest at heart. So you should begin from there before you consider going outside to another person who may still have your interest at heart or not. But clearly, the parents should have the primary responsibility. But if they fail to, I would encourage all adolescents to make that effort and approach their parents and try and begin from there. Ask questions, and hopefully they may get some answers.
You see, they are laughing. It's not even possible in some cases.
Well, then again, it's possible. It's just that, you know, it's this fear that comes around that my dad, for instance, is the wild type. He won't listen. But you see, then again, it's all a challenge. Some parents only assume that posture thinking that that is the way to train the child to be responsible. But inwardly, they are not as wild as they may look. But then they create a picture for the child to see, really. So sometimes when they keep that distance, they think that is what will make the child to fear them, and then they do the right thing. And
must the child fear the parent?
no, definitely. No child. No. So you see, we confuse fear with respect. The child definitely must
Please say that
respect
again. We confuse
fear with respect.
one more time, please.
We really do confuse fear with respect, but the two are different. So a child is supposed to respect his parents, clearly. And the parents also expect respect from their children. But either way, both parties, some parents sometimes confuse fear with respect, and they think that respect that they want to get from their children will come in the form of fear. So when I'm in the hall, you don't have to be in the hall. When I'm sitting here, you don't have to be there.
But why really?
Exactly, and it shouldn't be so. So then again, that's why I said earlier that parenting doesn't just happen. Most of the time, we go through the cycle thinking once we become adults, the next thing is we get married or we have a child. And once we have a child, it's going to continue. And then we go with our own ideas and mentality. That when I was growing up, my father, you couldn't sit with him in the hall. So definitely my children
We pass it
should
on.
not also sit with me in the hall. If they do that, it means I've lost respect. But that clearly is wrong. And so that's why I said parents must really think about it, the stages they've gone through. If we really think about it, we'll realize the mistakes we've made, and then we can find better ways of addressing it. But if we don't, we may just carry on our own negative experiences onto our children. And then these same problems will continue. And then we'll end up with all the challenges that adolescents run into. I hope hopefully one day we may get to discuss the challenges, the medical problems and all that adolescents go through. And the root cause is because of this. Okay, all the vices we have in society. No one is born a thief. No one is born an armed robber. But it's society that creates such individuals. And it begins from the home. So the child is growing up, he cannot approach the dad, he cannot approach the mom. He's left to deal with his own struggles. He has questions, he's not getting answers to it. He can't get it from home. So the next point of call will be his peers. If it is lucky and he gets the right kind of peers, then he will get the right information.
That's the key word,
yes.
the right kind of peers.
Yes. So if he doesn't get the right kind of peers, whatever advice he gets, then he continues in that line. And then we would have created a monster out of that nice growing up young boy or young
promising
girl.
Future child.
Exactly, and everything just
goes
down.
Sarah, you have two adolescents. Have they approached you with questions that you didn't have answers to, and how did you handle them?
Okay, so I think most of the time, I think Dr. attested to it, that they will not approach. Even sometimes you might have created the environment that you expect, but I realize that discussions around this changes in their system, they naturally are shy, or I mean, just as I said, that some parents are even shy to even talk about this.
Yes.
Yes. So is it with the kids as well. So in my case, for instance, none of them has approached to ask about how things I dealt with it before they even came with any questions. I haven't had them approaching, and I do with adolescents around, and I realize that they would not want to talk about it.
Wait, is it that we are waiting, again, Dr. Topa, to talk about it when we see the signs? Because you started the discussion when you noticed the changes that were happening. But shouldn't it be a process where it starts at a level that they can understand? So at every age, we have a specific talk guide to their understanding. So if we start early, won't it bridge that communication and relationship gap rather than leaving it till you see that she's getting dressed and his voice is breaking?
Exactly, and I think we mentioned part of that last week, that the talk must begin early.
Yes.
No one wakes up one day suddenly and then they are adolescents. It's a stage they go through. They go through the childhood stage and then they transition. So part of the parenting aspect is that relationship should be there right from that point. That conversation should start before the changes even come in.
Yes.
So before the changes come in, then when the changes come in, you consolidate whatever previous information you've given, and then you give more specifics, more details. So you've started a conversation earlier with the child, told the child that as you grow up, certain changes would happen. So that child has that information. Then as the child grows daily, you update the information, and that is what parents need to do. You don't leave the child in a vacuum in total darkness, and then suddenly you want to give them information. No, it has to be a process, and that process must start way earlier, even before we get to that stage of adolescence.
Akosia, do you feel that even at your current age, there's still information that you need that you don't have, and you feel, you know, I need a lot more information to take me through this whole phase before I reach the young adult age?
Oh, yes.
So what are some of the things you've...
But me, I don't like going to my mom like, "Mommy, please, can you tell me something about this?" My mom, she doesn't have time, or she'll tell you, "Me, I want money." That's what she will tell you. So me, when I'm having problems like this, I just take my phone, go search whatever I'm having problems with. After that, I'll just ask my friends, "Oh, this is what I'm facing. Can you help me?" Then they'll be like, "Oh, I have a doctor friend. Let me ask him."
Wow.
I don't tell my mom, and I don't have any female sibling, or it's a male, and we're only two, and he's older than me, and he's married, so I can't talk to him. It's only me.
Your friend can actually say, "Oh, if this is it, I have a doctor friend, let me ask." Now, that is worrying, because how sure are we that they are actually going to a doctor friend or some experience they've had before, and they're telling you what they went, you know, how they dealt with it, rather than it actually coming from a doctor?
Yes, exactly, and I think that is really the challenge we have at hand, and these are the issues we should be addressing. And I'm glad Akosia is being open.
Yes,
because this is really what
she's
we
definitely
see.
coming back.
Yes, this is really what we see out there. I also interact with a lot of adolescents. You're on various levels, and this clearly is the picture you see. So majority, this is just what they go through. And so parents, we really need to realize that this is a big problem we have. Recently, I think some few weeks back, there was this noise that was being made about teenage pregnancy and all that. And it's funny, we always sit back, we don't address any issues, we go conduct, and then the stats come out, and then we are making noise that in the year, maybe this number of children are pregnant. Yes, but what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
So the problems have been there. It's been staring us in the face, and we've been looking at it. So you can imagine the number of children in Akosia's situation who don't have access to good information. They are left on their own to get their information, or left on their own to get it from their peers. Whatever their peers may have also heard from whoever, it's what is going to translate. So if that her friend has gotten the wrong advice from someone, she's going to tell her that, and she's also going to follow suit in that. And then it's going to be a cycle.
And she's also going to pass it on to somebody, and pass it on to another.
And it's on and on and on. The same with if the person is a young guy, he doesn't get the information at home. The mom is busy, the dad is busy. He gets it from friends, gets the wrong information, and then it carries on. So the bigger problem we have in society, we can trace it to these issues. And these are the real issues that we should start addressing. If we start addressing it, then we can fix the bigger problem. If we don't, then unfortunately, the situation is going to remain the same as we have now.
Okay. Marvin, from your perspective as a boy, what do you think your father or your mother could have done better to give you the information you needed? I mean, your mother gave you some of the information, but it wasn't as concrete as it would have been from your father. That is, if he also has the information.
I think my perspective, from my experience, my dad, his anthem is spare the rod and spoil the child. So the little thing, even an approach you would do, he's already shouting at you.
He doesn't even wait to listen what you have to.
You are not yet done.
Daddy, then there's a shout.
What is it? You know, once you come with that approach, how do you expect me to express myself? I'll just say, oh, okay, I'll come back.
But he said, what is it? He didn't say, don't say what it is.
Communication. It's like Akos talking to me, and hey, what is it?
You're immediately put off.
Yes. So, I mean, once your parents bring that kind of approach towards you, how can you express yourself? You can't. You just have to keep it with that fear.
So in a situation like that, if you can't talk to your father and you can't talk to your mother, the next point of call is your
Friends.
friend. Okay.
Friends.
Okay, let me quickly mention our phone lines. The number is 0302 908 607. The number again is 0302 908 607. You can call now. The lines are open. Marvin, so you were saying?
So once the parent starts with bad communication, the child is put off. How do you want me to express myself? The next place I go is my friends.
Yeah.
And whatever my friend tells me, that's what I'll do.
So when you get the what is it, which is what you call bad communication, do we have a second attempt to try and talk to him? Maybe at that particular moment, a lot was going on. Parents, we always say we're going through a lot. We're busy. We're making money.
Yes.
Like she says, her mom says, "Yeah, I want to make money." You know, so do you have a second attempt? Because he didn't say, what is it, go and come back, don't come back.
Yes. He doesn't.
We've got a call on the line, just hold it. Victoria,
Okay.
Hello, Victoria, thank you for calling in.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your question, please, or your contribution?
Okay, I'd like to contribute, and that is, I am very excited of this TV show because it has really taught us so much. Me, for instance, when I was young, I was so confused about these kind of stuff, especially with the menses area. Because I woke up one day, I'm like, oh my God, my aunt, sorry for using that word, got busted. And my mom was like, oh, it's not anything serious. It's just one thing a woman should go through, and she taught me how to treat myself. So I'm actually happy. But most children, as the other girl was saying, don't get taught by their family because they forget and they neglect their kids, you know. So this is very, very good for the TV station. I'm always going to tune in to watch more. Also, I'll say I really love the kids for voicing out. I know when they go home, they'll get some lashes from their parents, but hey, kudos to them. Yeah, so shout out to Caroline and the rest of them. Yeah, I love them all.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Bye.
I hope you're not going to get lashes when you get home. You could say, you know. So he says, what is it? You go away. He did not say don't come back. Do you approach again?
You try first time. It doesn't work. You try the second time.
Okay.
It's a different excuse. What do? You wouldn't have that.
Try a third one.
No.
They said third time is a charm.
You see, the thing there is, once the parents don't build that kind of communication with the child, okay, my father, I'm using an example. If a parent is the type that maybe when he's in a bad mood, he shouts on the child, and later he comes back to, oh, I'm sorry for what happened. I was, you know.
But do parents apologize? Do we?
It's rare, but some do.
It's interesting. We are defending the parents.
It should be a communication skill. Because there are kids, when you shout on them, they start crying. The next thing you have to do is to come and say, oh, I'm sorry for what happened. Once you say that, the child knows that, okay, now my dad wants to talk to me. My mom wants to talk to me. You can easily, what's happening?
You can go back and...
Yes. But then, after shouting, they are gone. The next time you approach, it's a different excuse. As you can see, I'm going somewhere, I'm coming back. I mean, you really need to know that information. So then the best thing is, or the next thing the child does is, friends, oh.
We have a message here. She says, this is a very good topic. As kids, most of our parents didn't educate us about taking good care of our body and stay away from sex. Some parents feel ashamed to talk about sex, and that's the cause of teenage pregnancy and whatnot. Caroline speaks so well. She's my favorite on the show. Okay, so when you don't have the opportunity to go back and communicate and ask the questions, and you go to your friends, don't you worry that my friend is giving me information that is wrong?
At that stage, the child doesn't even think about what is good or bad.
Really? Let me hear from Kali. Don't you worry that I'm asking my friend, this is a big issue. Is she going to give me the right information? Is it the way to go? You don't worry at all?
Okay, for me, I don't really talk about those stuff with my friends.
Okay.
Because I was blessed with sisters. So
5 of them.
yeah, so I do that with my big sister. And if
Okay.
she's not there, the second born takes over.
So your sister will definitely not give you the wrong information, or
Yeah, I'm sure.
that's your belief.
Yeah.
She'll lead you on the right path.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
Akosia.
Yeah.
Oh, as for me, I'm in a girls' school, so like the girls, we just group and we'll be talking about it, like what's the challenges we are facing. Everyone will say what's like he or she is encountering like in the house. So
Okay.
someone will be like, my mom, she's street, or she'll tell you when you get pregnant, she'll kill you. Like, so we are all aware. Yeah.
Hold that thought. Chantel, thank you for calling the show. Hello, Chantel.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for calling. What's your question or contribution?
I would like to ask.
We lost Chantel. Okay. Yes, Akosia.
And so we'll be discussing them in class. Yeah. So everyone will say what's like the problem they are facing, how their parents are, like menstrual cycle. Any question, we'll just be discussing it in class. So it'll be like secrets among us.
Secrets?
Yeah, we don't
They
tell our
say
parents.
it's not a secret once it comes out of your head. Okay. We have a WhatsApp message from Nathaniel. He says, what about the boys too? When our sperms comes out from our penis, when we release it, how do we feel? Dr. Topa.
Okay, so maybe let me take that and then I'll come back to something that Marvin said earlier. So I don't know what the caller wants to address, but definitely we mentioned last week that boys also have their peculiar challenges.
The wet dreams.
And, yes, and we mentioned the wet dreams, and we said it's similar, not like the menses, but it's similar to...
We have a caller. Please hold it. Michael, thank you for joining us. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Hello, Michael, yes.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so what I have to say is, mostly we need to study our parents, we need to approach them at the right time. Some of them, there are a lot of pressure on them, so we need to study them and know when they are happy before we approach them. That is the mistake we guys make. So I think the guy there saying the parents always shout, I believe, if you relax, study your mother or your father, the time he or she is happy, you can approach him or her. I think every mother have that motherly love, that if she's happy, she will express whatever she has for you. So that is what I want to add.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we have a message on YouTube. She says, Nanaya Adinkrak says, God bless you for this educative program. And then Perpetua Mensa says, thank you so much. It's very educative. God bless you. Dr. Topa.
Yeah, so let me quickly take that. So we mentioned that the boys have the wet dreams. So the caller, the one who sent a message was asking how they feel. So then again, we mentioned the changes that go on in the body, both physically as well as emotionally. So of course, just as the young girl will be
We have another caller. Sorry. Okay. Raymond Arthur. Okay, this is our final call. Hello, thank you for calling.
Hello.
Yes, Raymond.
Okay, yes. I wanted to ask.
Go on, we can hear you, yes.
I wanted to ask, as an adolescent, how do you go up to a situation where you have feelings for somebody, but you don't know whether you should tell the person or not?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. He's saying his question is, how do you communicate to somebody that you have feelings for and you don't know how to tell the person? As an adolescent. I mean, I know that the hormonal changes can be very crazy.
Exactly. So I was just going to talk about that you have all these hormonal changes going through.
Yes.
And especially with that aspect of boys where they have the wet dreams as well. It comes with some feeling that they experience, some sort of pleasure they experience, as well as some curiosity that they would have as well, that what is happening and what is going on. So that's still why it's important for the information to come, for them to understand that, yes, this is what is happening, these are the changes that are happening in your body, and this is what happens when you go through these changes and you perform these functions. So that information comes so that they understand. Otherwise, part of the result is that that's how come most young boys are introduced to masturbation, for instance, because they experience some feeling, they don't know what is happening, what is going on, and then they are left to find out from their peers. And so the information is not balanced, and then it goes in that direction. So yes, all these feelings will go, and as well as the one who is asking, there is this attraction you will feel for the opposite sex and all that. It's normal. It comes with the changes. So that's why the conversation must take place at that point for them to understand.
This attraction
yes.
that is going on
yes.
in the hormonal time.
Yes.
So the attraction is hormonal.
Yes.
See, that's the thing that they need to understand.
Yeah.
It's a hormonal thing.
Yes.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that they are in love.
Exactly.
Aha!
Yes.
That's the key thing.
Yes, so it's a whole conversation that they will understand that when you get to that stage, these are the changes that happen. Part of the changes, because of the hormonal changes, you will have this feel-good feeling about this person who is next to you. But then the next person you would see, you would equally have that feel-good feeling. And the next, and the next.
Please, repeat
yes.
that. So they can have the feelings for the first person.
Yes.
And then they can have it again for the next person.
Yes, so the more they spend time with someone, the more they will have this feeling towards the person. It's just a natural response that the body is appreciating the opposite
So
sex.
it's the body appreciating the changes they are going through, but not meaning that they are in love. That is the bit I want to bold, underline, you know, blazon, announce.
Yes, definitely. Because emotionally, they are not ready.
Yeah.
So we mentioned last week that the physical changes take place first. So for both boys and girls, we mentioned there are 3 stages. So the physical changes are the first changes that go through, where the changes in the body and all that. So the body is looking matured. But then the emotional and the intellectual changes delay. And those ones get fully established by age 24. That's within the 3rd stage, which begins from 18 to 24. So the physical changes have taken place, all right, but the emotional changes are not yet. We call something the limbic system, which controls our emotions.
What is the meaning of
our
that?
emotions.
Okay.
The part of our nervous system that controls our emotions. And for adolescents, it goes in bursts. Like, you just have bursts. So one moment they are feeling emotionally one way or the other. They feeling so they meet a young girl and then they're feeling like, okay, they appreciate this person. The next person they feel, they equally can have that burst. And the same with the negative emotions, the anger emotions, the suspicions. So just as Marvin said earlier, part of adolescents, part of their emotions, because the emotional aspect is not developed, is they have this suspicion about adults, that the adults, their stances, they are against them. So, and then clearly they did some study in US, and they realized that most adolescents also read facial expressions wrongly. So the dad says, what is it? And then he is reading it as he's angry at me.
Oh, Dr. Topher.
Probably that's not the true meaning.
You know, and I really wish we could go on. But before we go, we have a message here. He says, hi, listen, good afternoon. Great program by all standards. I'm Kwabna Jr. from Kaswa. Next week, we are back, and it's going to be even more exciting. The time is never enough, you know. I think when we get into the heat of it, then we have to go. But I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Topa, Mrs. Seropong, Kali, Marvin, and Akosem Newman for coming to be on the show. We hope to see some of you next week. I'd like to say a big thank you to our supporters, Lesh Fortune Limited, for all your interior decor work, whether it's a hotel, an office, even at home. Contact them. They'll give you the best of creative decorations you can ever think of. As for Purple Rose shoes, you are not styled until you're wearing shoes from Purple Rose. Pamper your feet. They have lovely classic shoes, and the colors are amazing. Done tailoring, perfect finishing, Nax wardrobe, amazing styling. And as for Chrisage, they simply say they will floor you. Stay tuned in for next week, same time. Just be by your TV set. We'll be there and live on YouTube, DSTV, and GoTV. My name is Natalie Techiapia. Thank you very much for joining me, and next week we'll come your way again.